ready to chug some beers and make some bad gambling picks. Welcome to ChuggieBets. Books, right? But my thing I learned last week about week 0 is sometimes even a passing game can move back, right? So I don't know if you watched the FIU game. There's some amazing stats about the advanced stats about like earned points per play, and I'll pull them up right now. But my favorite stat is a simple one. God, I can't remember. Grayson White, I don't remember. The quarterback for FIU had an amazing stat line. He threw the ball.
There's another Grayson out there?
I know. I was surprised too. He threw the ball, I think, 14 times, completed 5 passes, right? Obviously not a very good quarterback, but
5 of 14, that's a good batting average.
It is. He's in the Hall of Fame. But he only threw those 5 passes for 4 yards. And when you outline that,
good slugging percentage, though.
Not very good.
It's a Matt Dunn of quarterbacks.
Yeah, Grayson James. The best part is, they were up 17-13 going into 6 minutes into the fourth quarter, right? 17-13, FIU was up. Their total yards were 182. Louisiana Tech's was 446. Sometimes you can't rely on the counting stats. That was a catastrophe game. And I watched every minute of it because I was on the under. And I was scared because they jumped off to a hot start. But we got there, boys. We got there. Anything else you guys learned?
I don't know if this counts as something I learned, but I plan to fade Notre Dame. If you guys remember last year, the Ireland game was Nebraska-Northwestern, and Northwestern won, and it was the first game of the season, just like Navy-Notre Dame, and everybody was like, oh, Northwestern, and then they were terrible. I don't think they won another game the entire season, but everybody saw them win in Ireland, so clearly Notre Dame is way better than Northwestern, so this could come back and bite me. But I do think people will be a little bit overhyped on Notre Dame based on what they saw on Saturday. So plan to fade Notre Dame.
Yeah. Notre Dame had a strong first game, and then they almost lost it. I mean, they lost to FSU, right? And then they almost lost to somebody else that was bad.
They lost to Marshall last year. Week 2 or week 3, and everyone was.
They beat somebody by a field goal that they should have crushed.
Probably Navy.
That was Navy. That's right.
Yeah, I thought Sam Hartman was good, but I don't think he was amazing. Right? He missed a lot of easy throws early in that game. That Navy team is terrible. They are.
Yes.
That's what I took away from that more than anything. It's a bad visual for Notre Dame just to punish the United States Naval Academy in Dublin, and that Naval Academy deserved to be punished because that shit is terrible. That coaching change, it's like I predicted it last week. It was like I was right on the whole time. That was bad. That's a bad team.
Their fullback still put up yards though. I mean, he didn't have the best yards. He didn't have the big breaks, but his yards per carry was decent.
Yeah, my biggest regret was not betting the first quarter under for Navy, and them not offering a 3-quarter on team total under for Navy. But otherwise, my first half and full game team total unders were good. Navy's.
What do you got a prop there for us?
Yeah, Navy sucks. That's what my bets last week were the Navy first half team total under and the full game team total under. So I regret that they didn't that I didn't take the first quarter team total under of, I think it was half a point. But I think to Matt's point, I think I believe a little bit in UMass. I saw it at some point in their romp. They had, I want to say they brought in 10 new starters on transfers that were from legitimate D1 programs. I think half of them were from one school, but I know they at least got a couple transfers from Miami even. So UMass is capable of making some noise. They put up some points. So we'll see if we have any plays for them later, but I believe in UMass a little bit.
Oh, but it was an all-time bad beat. all-time bad beat. If you were on the under and the UMass New Mexico State game, the total was 23 points going into the fourth quarter. You had that easy. You could have doubled the score. You would have been fine. Both teams combined to score 48 points and just skyrocket past 40 points in the fourth quarter and skyrocket past the total. All that beat. You thought you were going in easy? Nah, son. Nah, they made it difficult.
Yeah. That's a bad side of betting unders. Is that under is never a win until the clock's at 0. And over you can hit in the first quarter and you're great. But under under is never a lock.
But you never live until you bet an under. And then you watch FIU go 5 for 14,
So
4 yards of passing, and you celebrate every incompletion. That's living, baby. That's living.
You just got to pick your
unders
unders wisely, though, because like you got to bet fun unders like Iowa, for
It was
example.
always a good under.
When you bet a good under, it feels like you're predicting the future. Like you can see the game play out. And when you don't, you're like, God damn it, why did I bet this?
Speaking of
Like
unders, Matt, you wanna tell us what
UCF
you got
is
there?
one that like a lot of people are on overs that you can usually catch a good under because Gus Malzahn's more of a running coach, and they can put up points, but their totals are still as if they have their older coaches that could really sling it and put up like 70 or 80. So
Speaking of the unders, though, you want to talk Iowa? Let's talk Iowa really quick, right? So I invested in this very fancy graphic. Cost me $9 at Target. It's the Brian Ferentz bonus countdown. If he can get to 300 points, he gets to keep his job and he gets a bonus. Sadly, it's really not that hard to score 25 points a game as a competitive college football team, right? If you have a bad season, offense, injuries. Injuries.
Hey.
Injuries. I give you injuries.
I resemble that remark.
You do resemble that remark for sure.
we didn't really have injuries.
You had
Your Streppo was
no, the
good
quarterback.
opponents.
Tyler Van Dyke. Who was the quarterback who played against Florida State? Bakari. I don't remember.
Van Dyke was reasonably healthy, but yeah,
I don't think so.
he missed 2 games.
Either way, so I'm rooting against Brian Ferentz this year because Kirk Ferentz is going to fire his son. Come on now. Kirk Ferentz has carte blanche in Iowa. He can do whatever he wants. I just want to see what happens. I'm just here for the fun. So I hope I never get to erase any of those numbers on this board. I hope it stays at 300 and they win 7 games by forcing negative points from the defense.
Yeah.
But I am leaning on Iowa and Phil Parker being great. And one of my favorite picks this week is under 9.5 points for Utah State at plus 115. Write it down here. This is an early bet, but I love it. 3 field goals.
Well, I love that. I love that one too, man. I love that one too. I mean, Utah State could get shut out. Iowa could totally start the season off with a shutout. They could also, give up 20, but like they could absolutely.
Matt, you said Iowa minus 15.
No, I said I don't know what the minus is. What's the spread right now? I just know 25. Utah State under 9.5 points for the game.
Under 9.5, Utah State. I gotcha.
3 field goals.
The only thing that scares me about it is if like Ferentz has this like I have to average 25 points a game. He's gonna start like trying to run really risky plays like tosses.
Oh, counters. He's gonna counter.
He might run a counter run instead of just a regular old dive.
I feel like Ferentz's strategy is going to be to like hang a hundo on each of the shitty teams and then just like hope the team's defense can bail him out the other like 4 games. Like he's gonna win 4 games like 13-10, and then he's gonna beat like 3 teams 60-0.
I hope it's this one. I'm in for it.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they have the firepower to win games 60-0.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for this one to be 2-0. 2-0.
All I'm saying is I think that's how he's pursuing the targets.
The 300?
How
he's trying to get the 300?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
It's
a
mean, not a median.
We've got some picks to get to, but before we do that, I'm Andy. That's Matt. That's Danny. That's Sunshine. That's Al. Let's chug a beer.
Let's do it. Buxton Hill Barbecue, Asheville, North Carolina.
All right. So
Bush Lake,
there
St. Louis,
are
Missouri.
something like 89 games this week. So we're gonna do something a little different than what we did last year. Instead of having one crazy long pod to go over everything, we're gonna split it into 3. So today's pod is gonna go over the Thursday night games, the Friday night games, and the noon slate for Saturday. Then we'll have separate pods for Saturday night, and then one for the remainder of the weekend. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the first pick of the week. Was a Thursday night. Kent State is going into UCF. And Danny, why don't you kick us off with what you got there?
Yeah, this one just kind of looking at last year. Kent State was, not terrible. UCF didn't really live up to all their expectations. So I feel like 36 points is a lot. UCF didn't do a ton of blowing out of teams last year. They did win their games handily, but I think that 5 touchdowns is a lot. So I think that just taking it, you're gonna see a trend in a lot of these picks this week, where these week 1 games, maybe everybody doesn't have everything set up, so they don't finish the blowouts.
Yeah, I'm on a similar thought process to you, Danny. I'm going to make this an official play. I'm going under 57.5. You guys haven't been watching the weather. There's a hurricane going through that part of the state around Wednesday. I think there's probably going to be a little more stress or college students partying a little hard going into that day. A game coming over on a Thursday. There's still expected to be heavy winds. Doesn't impact UCF. It does impact Kent State a bit. But I imagine it'll be a sleepier crowd because of everything going on. I just see this being a lower scoring game. I'm taking the under 57.5 here.
Something Danny mentioned made me think of this. What do you guys prescribe to the idea that teams that have a game under their belt are prone to cover more often than teams that are going into their first game? Because I know obviously there were 7 or 8 games last week, so that's it's 14, 16 teams that have already played a game. Are you more inclined to bet on those teams to cover than you are like when they're playing a team that hasn't played anyone yet?
Nobody good played, so no.
Fair.
To me, it's more of a team by team
you're not
basis.
more inclined to take Notre Dame to cover because they played a game, or like USC.
I think you can knock some rust off, but I also think you can get beat up, some injuries and that kind of thing. So it kind of evens out, and I kind of go team by team. If you played a cupcake, then yeah, knocking the rust off was probably helpful. If you played Alabama, you're probably hurting, and knocking the rust off is not going to make up for that.
I think the biggest advantage there is if you do play a cupcake, you get a second bye. So as your bodies are getting banged up, you can schedule your bye week 4 and week 9. And Florida State did this last year to a huge advantage. We played week 0 and then played LSU. And I do think it helped in that game because LSU looked a lot rustier early than Florida State did.
Right.
But I think that having a double bye is really, really helpful as these kids get beat up. It's an aggressive game.
Yeah.
Is Plumlee still the quarterback at UCF? Just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Running the ball.
Scoring. You'll take us into your next pick. I think you got something for us also at 7 p.m. at NC State going into UConn.
Yeah, so I know UConn looked good. Like UConn played the game already, right? They looked pretty decent, or did they not? Did they not play?
I don't think UConn played.
Okay.
Yet.
Well, then good.
UConn did not play.
And NC State minus 14.5, I think, is the play, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Lay it with NC State. I was on the fence about this for a little bit, and I was thinking, which am I going to be more upset about? Betting NC State minus 14.5 and having them not cover by some weird happenstance, or seeing them win by 40 points and being pissed that I didn't bet it. So NC State minus 14.5.
UConn's not a prolific offense. honestly, NC State hasn't been a prolific offense, even with Devin Leary. Now Devin Leary's in Kentucky. They did get Brendan Armstrong from Virginia 2 years ago, had record numbers. So I'll be curious to see how the offense is. But NC State's got defense. They bring that shit. And that's a Dave Doran staple. Love the under here. Under 46.5. Root for a thunder.
Matt, do you think might be worthwhile putting a couple bucks on parlaying those two things?
I would be intrigued by that.
All right. So what is probably the biggest game of Thursday night, which is not saying a whole lot, is Florida at Utah. And a bunch of us have picks here, but Chris, I'm going to let you kick this off. What do you got? And Florida going out to Utah.
So I'm taking Utah minus 6.5. I just Florida didn't really seem they were firing on all cylinders last season. I don't expect much out of them at the beginning of this season, especially going up against a Utah team that it's got a good returning QB back there to lead the team.
My big fear with this play, Chris, to your point, and I think it's calculated in the odds, Cam Rising has been a kind of a game time decision for a little bit. So that's my fear. Either way, I think that is cooked into the spread, and I still like Utah at home. Utah over the last 3 years at home is like 21-0. They haven't lost a game at home in 3 years.
Didn't Florida surprise them in this game last year?
In Gainesville, yeah, they won, but I think the humidity is different than the altitude and the night crowd in Rice-Eccles. I think that the home crowd in Utah is equal advantage as the Swamp is in Florida.
And Florida got really lucky to win that game. They really should have lost that game. They did pull it out at the end, but they didn't look
Plus,
good.
they don't have
Richardson
the best
make a crazy
quarterback
play at the end.
Yeah.
Super athletic.
They no longer have Richardson.
I like Utah at the minus. I didn't pick this. I like them to win by a little more than a touchdown, but not enough to place the bet. I just don't know what Florida's bringing at the quarterback position. So like, I don't think they're going to be good at all. But like, you never know what's going to happen there. So.
Yeah, so I am officially on that Utah minus 6.5, as is Sunshine and Matt. So that's 3 of us officially on that. If anybody listens to this later in the week and that gets to -7, I don't like it anymore. I don't know about Matt and Sunshine. Matt's shaking his head.
I like it at 6.5. If it gets to 8, I'm kind of thinking of playing the other way. It's getting
there you
close.
go.
Yeah,
there you go.
I like it as a 1 touchdown game.
And then Al has a play on this also, but it's on the total. What do you got there for us, Al?
Yeah, what's the total at?
45.5.
45.5. Yeah, Utah's got a good defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Florida's got a bad offense, or expected to have a not great offense.
Mm-hmm.
What's Florida typically good at? Defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I could easily see this thing being like a 23-16 type game, and that's going to go under like easily. So yeah, my bet's on the under.
I don't like that under at all, mostly because that's like an Iowa number, and I don't think either of these teams are in like Iowa or Illinois territory. So
You going the other way?
no, I'm not going the other way.
Oh,
but I'm abstaining. I think these teams are terrible, but this game could turn into a shootout quickly.
For the record, you do go the other way. You just aren't taking the bet, right?
Just not on this game.
Okay.
Or in betting.
Well, betting,
All right, Al.
but not betting.
Betting.
D's versus T's, which works in multiple ways there.
Oh yeah.
Al, why don't you take us to the 8:00 game, Nebraska at Minnesota?
This feels bad,
Yeah, why are you guys doing
but
this?
I'm
Is it
taking
just because
what
Frost is gone?
what is it,
Feels
7.5
so bad.
with Matt, in Nebraska plus 7.5 with Matt Rule? Is that what I did?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm leaning in. Let's go. We're going all the way in. I mean, I think this is more as much fading. Who are they playing? Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as much fading Minnesota as it is tailing Nebraska. But I mean, I think Matt Rule can get something together, and I think he wants to make a statement. I think there's nothing that scares me about Minnesota, and I think Nebraska typically shits the bed at home and plays a little bit sneaky good on the road. So put that all together, and why not? Why not take more than a touchdown?
Minnesota was 9-4 last year in the Big Ten. I think they're pretty good. If I were to lean this way, I would definitely go the other way. I hate this pick so much. I think Minnesota wins this game by 10 points. I'm just not betting it.
I'm with you, Dano, but I don't have the balls to do it.
I'm with Al. More than a touchdown is too much. Everybody knows how bad Nebraska is, but I think Minnesota's overrated. There was some off-season, off-the-field stuff with PJ Fleck, with players coming out and saying stuff that they didn't really appreciate him.
That's a team. That's a dead team walking.
Agreed.
Well,
Agreed.
hold on. Didn't PJ Fleck's players rally around him? It was like a couple of players that didn't like him, and then like the rest of his team.
It was the rest of the coaching staff come out in the fucking 54 sweaters and saying like our coach is a shitbag, but we still love him.
No, his players were rallying around him too. It went both ways, man. I disagree. I think PJ Fleck sucks, right? He's a bozo, but
capital B bozo.
Yeah. I think people are just focusing too much on how bad Nebraska is and don't realize that Minnesota is not incredible either.
Also, isn't Matt Rule's
in the Big Ten, man?
Isn't Matt Rule's whole thing like performing well without expectation and performing shittily with expectation? And where are we at here?
All right, boys, let's keep this train rolling on Friday night at 7 p.m. Central Michigan is going into Michigan State. Matt, what do you got for us there?
This is roughly a battle of teams that will end up being 6-6. I don't think either of them are particularly good, but I don't think Michigan State's going to be very good this year. So just taking the points with Central Michigan plus 14.5, get that 2 touchdowns, just felt right.
Nice.
It's not terrible. Michigan State wasn't very good last year.
I feel like Matt hates Michigan State, and that's okay. I also think this is probably a bet that he ends up being right on, but like by the hook.
That's why I'm picking it, baby.
Like one that I would never bet, but Matt is gonna hate. You know.
All right, our next pick here, we've got a Miami versus Miami battle here in more ways than one, because not only is Miami of Ohio going into play the University of Miami, we also have a disagreement between our two alumni here, Al and Danny. Danny, why don't you kick us off with why you are a traitor to your team?
Well, we're terrible, for one. We hired supposedly the best assistant in all of college football last season, and then we fired him because our offense was dreadful. So then we hired another, went a completely different route with a different kind of offense we're running. So it's basically an entire new offense we're instilling, and this is the first time we're going to run it, live. Have no idea if he's going to actually instill a wide open, spread type offense that Tyler Van Dyke is good at, or if they're going to, run the just pound it out pro style running stuff, which we're not good at, and Tyler Van Dyke does not thrive in. So I just think there's too many questions on our offense to think that we can beat a team by 3 touchdowns. So the line that I saw out there was 17.5 points. So yeah, if I can get 2 touchdowns and a field goal, I think we'll win, but just not by that much. I think we eke it out with a field goal kick at the very end or something like that.
How dare you? How goddamn dare you, Danny?
They got their quarterback coming back.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're both bad teams.
Right. Okay. So let me really.
We should be favored by a little less than a touchdown, not
obviously
2.5.
The main point I'm betting Miami here is because it's Miami, and I'm not gonna fade my team on opening week. Are you kidding me? Fuck that. I'm gonna go ahead and lay this 16.5 it is. But there's also another little element at play here that I want to talk about. So. Miami of Ohio opens the season with 3 consecutive road games. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fade them week 1 here. If they happen to cover, I'm going to go ahead and double that up next week. And if they happen to cover that one, I'm going to go ahead and triple down and fade them the 3rd week. because they're not going to win 3 games in a row on the road. That's not going to happen. One of those bets is hitting. So let's hope that it's the first one, and then I can just be done with it. Plus Appasby against my favorite team. So that's where we're starting here. So this is like a 3-week-long strategy that I'm imparting here. Okay, so if I don't win this one, I'm doubling down next week. But it's as much a fading of Miami, Ohio, as it is backing my team.
Yep, Miami, Ohio's quarterback's coming back. He was not great last year, so that's not a terrible strategy. I just don't think that we are going to put an offense in that is going to blow anybody out. This game's going to be around 20-20.
Danny, that is
Hopefully we get out by a
October. That
touchdown.
is October behavior. We're not even in September yet, bud. Be positive. Come on, we got this.
No, I'm just trying to make some money here. So I'd say 23-17 would be a nice way for this game to end for us.
Well, why don't we call it 43-17 and we're all happy, except you.
I'll be stoked if I get this pick wrong, man.
Yeah.
All right, so our next game here is another 7 p.m. Friday game. Louisville going into Georgia Tech. We've got another battle here. Sunshine and myself are taking Georgia Tech plus the 8. Matt and Danny are opposing us on Louisville. Sunshine, why don't you go ahead and lay out all the reasons why we're correct?
So Georgia Tech has just been bad for the last couple of years, just bad. And they fired their coach, and then their assistant stepped up and took over. And then when they thought about not like giving him the job, the players like rallied around him. I think that they're going to continue this season. They're going to open at their home opener, like with that same energy. And they've been making a lot of moves in the back office. And I just think they're putting a little bit more effort into their athletics. And so I think it's very important they come out here and they at least show that they're here to play. So I'm not picking them to win, but I am picking them to cover.
Also, I love it. I'm with you.
I just completely disagree. I think there's a lot of questions on both teams. Neither quarterback's coming back. I think Louisville's quarterback is trying to make the Patriots or something like that. Cunningham, right? And then Sims is, I think, playing for Nebraska now, right? Is that?
Yeah, Jeff Sims is. Shoot, I saw where he is. He may be Nebraska. I'll look it up.
Which makes that Nebraska pick a little bit better because he's quite the athlete. But I honestly don't know who's starting for either team at quarterback. You know, Matt? Do you know?
I do know, and I remember last year I have a clip on the internet that says, I don't know if Jimbo Fisher wants to die on a Haynes King cross. And the quarterback at Georgia Tech, who almost killed Jimbo Fisher, is Haynes King. They had a young guy last year, Zach Pyron. I loved watching him play. He was super raw, but an incredible athlete. And I was hoping Georgia Tech was going to lean into letting Zach Pyron grow. No, it looks like they're trying to get to 4 wins, and they're going to run Haynes King out there. Equal to what Sunshine was saying, bringing Jeff Brom back to Louisville is that energy that Louisville needed. Scott Satterfield was a complete dick to that program, trying to leave at every corner. He almost left. He came from Appalachian State. He was trying to take any job. He tried to take the South Carolina job while he was working there, and he had announced that he was leaving, and South Carolina took Shane Beamer instead. So it was always a bad look. There was bad blood there.
Smartly.
Yeah.
I mean, with Louisville historically, you think really, really great athletes at quarterback, right? You think Bridgewater, you think
Lamar.
Lamar. But last year they kept teams under 20 points a game on defense. Their strength of schedule wasn't terrible. So the ACC, while we like to make fun of it, they had to play like North Carolina. So there's like some real teams that they played. Georgia Tech's defense, terrible, like bad. They're giving up 30 points a game. So with all those questions on offense, I think that the defense is really where Louisville's going to have the advantage here.
Yeah. You give Georgia Tech one more year, I feel much better about this spread. The Georgia Tech team, as it's currently constructed, I just don't see them being particularly good.
See, okay, so that's a great thing you just said, Matt. I tend to agree with what you said, but I think it also applies to Louisville here. This is Jeff Brown walking into a program that he hasn't been at in 15 years, 10 years, whatever it's been. I don't think he's going to magically turn that into a stellar program overnight. And
They were
you may
8-5
say,
last year, man.
yeah, but he wasn't there. This is a new team. This is new players, new coaching staff. It's not like they're just going to expect to go out there and get 10 wins.
They didn't just like kick the entire roster off. That like the defense is mostly still there. I think they returned like 8 starters at least.
And they got 20 high-value transfers last year. That's the difference here. Louisville has the NIL budget to go make the instant change, while Georgia Tech didn't to this point.
So
Go ahead.
Georgia Tech transitioned from an option offense to a passing offense last year. And everyone is shitting on them for being like a terrible team. And it's like, well, yeah, they didn't have a quarterback. You're trying to become a passing team without a quarterback.
You're right. And that's why they only average. That's why they only average like 15 points a game or whatever the hell it was. But they still gave up 30. Man, they were not a good team.
Sure. I mean, I'm not saying they're a top 25 team, but I do think we're gonna get a little spicy here. It's not. I'm not locking this up. This isn't a play officially, but I do really like Georgia Tech money line here at home. Jeff Brom. First-year coach,
I'll do a side chuggy with you on that.
There's plenty of time for him to right the ship and do great things at Louisville. Week 1, not going to be it. That's my thought. So Georgia Tech money line. If you got a little like something you want to throw on there, go on and do it. That's what I'm saying.
That is.
I'll go 2-1 on the 5 beers you owe me.
I owe you 5 beers.
Yeah.
From the EPL thing, right?
Did I?
Yeah, I called all the teams that were gonna get relegated, and told you the last place team wasn't getting relegated.
All right. Well, that's way too much time on Louisville, Georgia Tech, and this is not the EPL pod. So let's move on to Friday, end of the night, 11 p.m. All of these guys will be watching Aussie Rules footy, but I will be watching Stanford, Hawaii. Hawaii is getting 4.5 points. It's at home. This is one of those instances that Al mentioned earlier that I think Hawaii got a chance to knock the rust off a little bit. Stanford is not good at football, and I'm going to take Hawaii plus the points. Hawaii plus 4.5.
Have you guys seen the spread movement on this game since that Hawaii game? Everyone walked away impressed. Hawaii was an 8.5-point dog. Everyone watched that game. It's now down to 4.5, and it may go down further lower. If you like this,
3.5 now. 3.5 now.
Ooh, it's flying down.
I want to go the other way.
I'm tempted because it's like, all right, there's too much line movement, but I like Hawaii in the spot.
Yeah, if it dips below 3,
idea what's going on at Stanford, but like, I don't like Hawaii as 3.5-point dogs. Like, if that's not a 13.5-point dog, I don't know what it is.
All right. Moving into Saturday, the big noon slate. East Carolina is going into Michigan. Danny, what do you got for us there?
Michigan's going to crush them, but not by 35, 36 points. I'm just going to take the 5 touchdowns again. That's
fair. Yeah, I like it. Our next game with a play is also noon on Saturday, Colorado TCU. This is the one that they've been advertising because Dion brings in eyeballs, but Al is not a believer. What do you got, Al?
Yeah, it's going to be free money all season as long as they're putting out lines like this. Lay it with TCU, take the under. I like the spread more than the under, so if you're splitting that up, put more on the spread. But Colorado's frauds, big time frauds. Fade them all year. They're going to score. They are super not going to hit the Iowa metric. They're not going to score 300. They're not going to win 7 games.
Yeah, I think Dion could be good for that program, and it could turn around
in like 5 years.
This year's not the year. It's not going to happen this year. It's going to take him some time.
Oh, you can get under Colorado total points under 19.5 for plus 130 if anyone's interested in that as well.
Yep, love it.
Plus money.
Is there an alt beyond that?
They haven't released the alt yet on the book I'm looking at for team points, but I'm sure there will be something. You want 17?
Like, honestly, if there was a Colorado team total under 10, I would bet it.
Wow.
I'm going to tail this one with Al. I'm going to make this an official play.
The
TCU.
spread or the total?
Minus 21.
All right.
Is that what the line's at right now still?
I haven't looked lately.
20 and a half. I'll give you 20 and a half.
Bullseye.
That's beautiful.
There's never easier money to be made.
All right, Danny, why don't you keep us rolling there?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have maximum Duggins anymore. We're at minimum Duggins at this point, but
We can use minimum Huggins, and it would still be easy money.
I expect Colorado to win 0 games.
Good chance.
Like 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, I mean, I got another pick in the 12 o'clock game. Actually, I got 2 more picks in 12 o'clock games, and they're both along those same lines of like, I mean, Oklahoma's gonna just roll Arkansas State. Hopefully, they win by 34, because I'm getting plus 35. I just think that 5 touchdown number in week 1 is like a number that I like to stick at. And then like, is Kentucky really like a team that can beat a team by 4 touchdowns? Like, are they that good? Like, they don't have Levis anymore?
Devin Leary's there from NC State. But yes, that seems like a lot of points to your defense.
Who are they playing?
Yeah, so
Ball
State.
Yeah.
Not like
that one's going to be more about Kentucky's defense, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, Ball State's not like awful.
Yeah, it's one of those
You know,
MAC teams where they might go out and put up 30 points, and they might go out and put up 3. Who knows? You know?
I'm intrigued by this play. I may tell you on this one, Dan. I like this one.
Yeah, I just felt like Ball was getting a whole lot. Like, Kentucky shouldn't be like in that 4 to 5 touchdown range with those other teams that are getting that 5 touchdown line.
What was the other game?
Arkansas State plus 35 at Oklahoma.
Yeah, that one's going to be like, I don't think Arkansas State's going to score. So it's more whether Oklahoma can score 35 points.
Yeah, I mean, how's Dylan Gabriel going to do, right? Is he going to go out with an injury?
Is he like
drive?
Is there anyone who's been in college football longer than Dylan Gabriel?
There's probably a Martinez playing somewhere in Kansas or Nebraska. One of the Martinez brothers. But
what about Siobhan? We talked about him last week. Oh, the answer is easy. It's Bo Nix.
Bo Nix has been around for a while. Jordan Travis, this is his 6th year. That's a long-ass time in college.
Yeah. Jordan Travis was a running back when he got to Florida State.
He was, or a wide receiver, like scat back.
I think he was throwing lefty back.
He was. He's kicking the ball. Footy guy.
Yeah.
All right. Just to mention it real quick, Matt mentioned it at the top, but he is on the Utah State under team total under of 9.5 playing Iowa. So he's all about that Iowa defense there. And then to wrap out the noon slate on Saturday, I've got 3 additional plays in Fresno State, Purdue. I'm taking Fresno plus 4. And I'm taking the under 48.5. I actually locked this up at like 51, I think, but I still like it at 48.5. I wouldn't go any lower than 48. So if it continues to drop, don't follow me all the way down. And then I'm taking Northern Illinois plus 9.5 at Boston College. I'd really like to get 10, but it wasn't out there yet. So if it gets to 10, I might hit it again. But Northern Illinois plus 9.5.
Boston College is a really interesting team this year. They're coming off. Last year they had no offensive linemen left. They were rotating defensive ends to play tackles because like they were so undermanned. They should have a healthy line this year. I don't know what to make of them. I bet their team total under already, and I kind of regret it. But I like where you are in this spot. I think it's a good one.
I was just going to say it's probably worthwhile having Andy repeat those 3 bets because Andy's really good at this.
I wasn't good at this last week, but was Fresno State plus 4, Fresno State, Purdue under 48.5, and Northern Illinois plus 9.5.
Hail 'em.
All right, that takes us through the noon slate on Saturday. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, check out our TikToks. We'll put out some money lines. And then we're going to have 2 more pods coming up right after this, going through Sunday or Saturday night and then all the way through Monday. So check those out. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Good night, Joey.
Good night, Kent.